Industrial Revolution took place in the 18th and 19th century. The Industrial Revolution began with textile machines, which made the process of producing cotton much quicker. Men, women, and children worked long days under harsh working conditions in the hopes of supporting their families. At the time, the industries followed a free market capitalism system. This meant that the government had no role in planning or regulating the industry. Families migrated from the country to the city for an opportunity to work in the factories. The working class made up 80% of the society. Most of the workers lived in the slums. Living conditions here were rough. Most apartments had up to 10 people staying in one room. This led to diseases and illness spreading very quickly, which caused many deaths. People were forced to live in the slums due to the lack of money in the overwhelming population. Machine work required many people in order to function correctly and at a fast pace. Working in the factories included very harsh conditions for all ages and genders. A workday could last up to 10 to 14 hours 6 days a week. Most workers were required to be on their feet all day long with few breaks for food, water, or any time to regain strength. Working around the textile machines was very dangerous. It caused injury and health issues. Fathers, mothers, and even children worked to support their families. Due to the free market capitalism, no laws were able to regulate the industries and how workers were being treated. This led to lifestyles of the working class family, structure, and gender roles to shift. Before the Industrial Revolution, men were looked at as the family's primary wage earners. Men could work long days in the sun doing manual labor. Men were also seen as having lots of knowledge, and they were able to create things such as weapons or furniture. As the demand for work in the factories began to grow, men moved their families from the country to the city to be closer to work. Some men were not happy about the switch of work into the textile industries because it provided a lower paycheck. Most family members, including women and children, worked in the factories too. Men were no longer the only wage holders of the family now. However, men got paid more than women, and the children did when working in factories. Men were superior to women during this time. This is one of the reasons men earned more money in the factories. Another reason men earned more money in the factories was because of their physical appearances. Men were generally stronger than women and children. Although men might have a better capability of working long hours in the factories, harsh working conditions applied to them too. Before the Industrial Revolution, most women were housewives. This meant that the woman was married and her main focus was to care for her family, manage household affairs, and complete housework. The women worked from home and participated in jobs such as spinning, weaving, cooking, and cleaning. The role of women during the Industrial Revolution changed drastically compared to their previous daily routines. The woman went from being a household wife to working long, labor-intensive hours in factories. The working conditions of women in the factories was harsh. Working required many hours of the day, loss of energy, and physical and mental strength. However, on top of a long, hard day of work, they returned to their homes and were expected to complete chores and provide for the children. The women's work life and home life were sharply separated. Women made up a decent percent of the factory's workers. Women would get married and have children at a young age during the Industrial Revolution. Due to the population growing at a rapid pace, this led to women having more children more constantly. Having children so often had a big impact on the women by draining their physical strength while they are working in the factories. Before the Industrial Revolution and its impact on children by enforcing child labor, the life of children was very different. Before the Industrial Revolution, the children's jobs consisted of helping out with basic chores around the house. Children could also help take care of animals and help with crops. The textile industries kept growing and growing, leaving a bigger demand for more workers. The industries needed workers and families needed money. This led to child laborers. There are many reasons why child laborers became so popular. Some of them are that children were easy to manipulate, train, and instruct. Children had no seniority over adults. They were unable to complain or argue about any tasks assigned to them. A lot of machines needed cleaning, but in order to clean the machines, it required someone squeezing into a small space that only a child could fit in. When they were under the machines, it was very dangerous and had a high risk of injury. Oftentimes, arms, legs, and fingers were caught in the machines and ripped off. Being in the factories every day for a long period of time led to, or children inhaled toxins and fumes. These toxins and fumes led to illness and diseases, which could result in death. Working at such a level of intensity all day long on their feet led to body deformity in some children. Children started working in factories at ages as young as 5 years old. Child worked under extreme conditions. One day of work can last up to 10 to 14 hours, 6 days a week, with little to no breaks. The children were always required to be on task and working. If a child were to be caught off task or doing something wrong, it would be a serious consequence. Children were only paid 1/10 of what men are paid for working in the factories. Due to the free market capitalism at the time, there are no laws preventing the industries from hiring children to work in factories under these conditions. The laws and the working conditions in the factories during the Industrial Revolution impacted the family structure. The Industrial Revolution caused family roles to get mixed up and changed into something completely different. Not only did the family structures change, but the gender roles were shifted too during the Industrial Revolution.